So you take an onion, you find the pointy end and the root end. You leave the root end where it is. You cut off the pointy end. You stand the whole thing on its end and with your fingers up, because it sometimes slips, cut through the whole thing. Then you pull off the skin, and it's sometimes easy to pull off the skin by itself, but sometimes it's easier if you take a layer underneath it with it. This one seems to be working okay, mostly, with just the skin. And then you get all that stuff out of the way, and don't cut yourself. And you cut this, and this is the hardest part, doing the edges. You cut them like this, sort of towards the center, and not going all the way to the root. Just a little way away from that. And I'm making them small because you're going to want tiny little bits of onion, because I know you don't like big bits of onion. And you can do this part with a smaller knife, but this is the hardest part, I think, to go like this. So you could just leave those last parts to cut at the end if that's hard. And then you slice it across. Here's the root end that you're hanging on to. And curl your fingers, I think you know that, and do little bits of onion. Do them really small slices, and you get a bunch of them like that, and you'll hardly even notice them in your dish. So when you get to the end, near the end of the onion, you don't want to put the root in, and I just kind of go at an angle like that and get the edges. I can't do the sides, and you basically leave this much root at the end. You can use a little bit of the edges if you want, but just throw that away. And this onion had a skin that came off easily, but then this is still kind of icky, so I take off the first layer and just peel that whole thing off. And I still didn't get that little part, but often that whole chunk will just come off by itself, and you don't have to fiddle with it as much as I am. So that's how to do onions. And this is a garlic thing that's, I'll start from the side, it's not done very well. This one seems like it's not a good garlic head because it's soft. I guess I should show you that. See, it's soft and it's brown, dark brown. That's not good. Usually they feel firm. We'll see if this one's any better. This one's not so good either. They're squishy. So we're going to get rid of that whole one. Hopefully the one I gave you was a good one. And you have to kind of separate in between the cloves with your fingernail or knife or something, and you peel off some of that stuff. And sometimes they're hard to break apart, especially since these have the long bit in the middle. So pry that one out. Now this one's nice and hard and it looks good. And the easiest way to do this is use one of those green tubey things, but I don't think you have one of those. So the next easiest way is to put your knife flat on the top of it and your hand up like this so you don't get your fingers, and lean on it until you kind of hear it smush a little, and make sure you don't slice yourself with a knife, and it cracks the skin open and you can just peel it off pretty easily. And then cut off the little bit there. I usually do the green tip too. You're going to do these all nice and thin. And some people like to just put it in like that, but I like to chop them up nice and small. And you want to make sure you don't slice your fingers, so keep them like this when you're holding things. And then when you got them all like that, to make them nice and small, you take your hand like this on the flat part of the knife. Continue to pile them into a pile and chop until they're all nice and small. And they will be ready to do. And the other thing that you can sometimes add to a soup, which if you have laying around, which you might not ever, but if you do, some celery makes the soup base taste good too. This one's kind of icky on the edges, but again, I would do the same sort of thing. Just make them small little bits, so I cut them into small bits that way, and then just like I did with the garlic, do small slices this way. And you can do it with a rocking motion like that with a knife. If you have this kind of knife, I don't think this is in your little knife kit, so hopefully your friend has one. And your roommate. If you got those three things, or even just the onion and the garlic, or even just the garlic, it'll make the soup taste a lot better. So, ready? So I'm turning this to close to high, medium high, but pretty high. I've got all my garlic, onion, celery kind of things chopped up ready to go. I've got some garlic oil, olive oil, just regular olive oil, not the extra virgin olive oil, because that can burn. And I'm going to take I've heated up the pot a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit and just pour some in, a couple tablespoons. For a big soup, you might do a little bit less, but it's not very much. And then you're going to pour all this in once it heats up a tiny bit. And you can do that by dropping in a little bit and seeing whether it sputters, but it's not there yet. And since I just turned the pot on, when you toss it in, it's doing some of that. So you pour it all in, and it makes that sizzling sound, and you have to start stirring it. And it's all holding together right now. You can see that all the shapes are nice, and that's the color it is. And as you stir it, kind of spread it out and stir it every 10 to 20 seconds. Just go around again and spread it out again, and do that for about 5 to 10 minutes until it looks all softened and the color has changed a little bit, and we'll show you what that looks like when it happens.